The Millionaire CEO didn't believe in helping. Until he saw a little girl holding a baby. The rain poured like a curtain of sorrow across the windshield as Jackson Reed, CEO of Reed Tech Industries, sat impatiently in the back of his town car. The driver had taken a detour through a lower-income neighborhood due to traffic, and Jackson was already fuming about the delay. He tapped his phone angrily, scanning through emails, deals, and schedules that ran his life like clockwork. Time, to Jackson, was a commodity more precious than gold. Every minute had to be profitable, efficient, productive. That was his creed, until today. At 45, Jackson was a self-made millionaire. From a tough childhood to owning a tech empire, he had clawed his way to the top, and in doing so, hardened himself to the world. Charity. A waste. Emotions. A distraction. Kindness. An exploitable weakness. Success, he believed, belonged to those who fought for it, and if you were struggling, you probably didn't try hard enough. Then he saw them. The car had stopped at a red light. Outside, through the streaked glass, a small figure stood under a broken umbrella, soaked and shivering. It was a girl, no older than 8, clutching something in her arms. Jackson looked closer, and his heart stuttered. It was a baby. The infant was wrapped in a tattered blanket, barely shielded from the cold. The girl was whispering to him, rocking him gently, trying to keep him calm. They stood beside a closed storefront, clearly with no place to go. Jackson stared, transfixed. Something about her eyes, they were too old for her face. Eyes that had seen too much, endured too long. The light turned green, and the car began to move. "Stop," Jackson said, his voice low. The driver glanced back, confused. "Sir." "Stop the car." "Pull over." The car rolled to the curb. Jackson stepped out, the rain immediately soaking through his $1,000 suit. He approached the girl slowly, unsure of what he was even doing. She noticed him, her expression wary but defiant. "Hey," he said, crouching to her level. "Are you okay?" She looked him up and down. "We're fine." "What's your name?" "Lila." "And the baby?" "My brother. His name's Noah." "Where are your parents, Lila?" She hesitated, eyes flitting away. "Gone. It's just us now." Jackson felt a strange knot form in his chest. "Do you have anywhere to stay?" "We were at a shelter. But it's full. They said come back tomorrow." A silence settled between them, broken only by the sound of rain tapping against the pavement. Jackson glanced back at his car, at his driver who was watching with concern. He could easily get back inside, dry off, and forget this ever happened. It wasn't his problem. It never had to be. But he didn't move. Instead, he took off his coat and gently wrapped it around Lila. She flinched but didn't resist. The fabric swallowed her, but her face lit up with a flicker of surprise and gratitude. Then, with surprising boldness, she asked, "Are you rich?" Jackson blinked. "Why?" "Because only rich people dress like that and don't look scared in the dark." He almost laughed. It was an honest observation. "Yes, I guess I am." She looked at him, her face serious. "Then maybe you can help somebody for once." The words hit him like a slap. For once. He didn't reply. Instead, he pulled out his phone and called his assistant. Within minutes, he had arranged for a nearby hotel to prepare a room for the night, with warm food and baby supplies. He turned to Lila. "Come with me." The hotel staff had questions. Jackson had no answers, only orders. "Give them whatever they need." Lila ate like she hadn't in days, and Noah finally fell asleep, warm and full, on clean sheets. Jackson watched from the corner, still drenched, still unsure of what had just happened. That night, he couldn't sleep. He sat in his penthouse suite, staring out at the skyline, haunted by Lila's eyes and that quiet question, then maybe you can help somebody for once. He thought about the charities he ignored, the people he passed by, the stories he refused to hear. His success had cost him his compassion, and until now, he hadn't noticed it was gone. The next morning, he returned to the hotel room. Lila was awake, feeding Noah. She looked up, surprised to see him. "You came back," she said softly. Jackson nodded. "I want to help." She studied him again, as if trying to decide if he was telling the truth. "Help like, just for now? Or help like, for real?" Jackson knelt beside her. "For real." Over the next few weeks, everything changed. Jackson hired a legal team to find a foster solution for Lila and Noah that wouldn't just shuffle them through the system. He visited them often, bringing books, toys, and sometimes just himself. He sat with Lila and listened to her stories. He learned about her mother's battle with addiction, her father's abandonment, her desperate efforts to protect her brother from it all. He marveled at her strength, at how much life she carried in her tiny frame. Inspired by Lila, Jackson started something new, a foundation called The First Step, aimed at helping homeless families with children, providing shelter, education, and long-term support. But more than the buildings and programs, Jackson poured himself into it. He showed up. He talked to people. He listened. And, slowly, something inside him began to heal. One evening, at a fundraiser for the foundation, Jackson gave a speech. The room was full of powerful people, CEOs, politicians, influencers. He stood at the podium, eyes scanning the crowd, then landed on Lila and Noah sitting in the front row. "I used to believe helping others was someone else's job," he began. "That if people were struggling, it was because they made bad choices. I thought success meant pulling yourself up and never looking back. But one rainy day, I saw a little girl holding a baby, and she taught me something I'll never forget." He paused, his voice catching. "She taught me that strength isn't just in how high you climb, it's in how many people you lift with you. And that sometimes, the greatest heroes are the ones who have the least, but give the most." The room fell silent. Then came applause, slow at first, then rising like a wave. Lila beamed, Noah giggled in her lap, and Jackson, once the man too busy for kindness, felt a tear slip down his cheek. In the months that followed, the first step grew. It reached cities across the country, touching thousands of lives. Jackson's name was now associated not just with innovation, but with compassion. But he often said his greatest achievement wasn't a company or a fortune. It was one simple moment. A rainy day. A little girl. And the courage to care. Because sometimes, the smallest hands carry the heaviest burdens, and the greatest change begins with one person deciding to help. And Jackson Reed, once a man too busy to notice the world around him, had finally taken his first real step. Not toward profit, but toward purpose.